We are here, various folks who are members at various host sites through the MMP Ambassador of Mentoring program. And I am inviting them to answer this question. What does an ambassador of mentoring do at a host site? What does an ambassador of mentoring provide a host site that they would otherwise not have? And did anybody want to go first? Otherwise, I'm just going to pick you randomly. Okay, Carmen. And Carmen is our member who's at Boston Youth Wrestling. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Carmen Rondash. I'm a second year. I'm also the Father Monin Fellow. I'm an ambassador of mentoring at Boston Youth Wrestling. Currently, Boston Youth Wrestling is undergoing a rebranding to Beat the Streets Boston as it joins the national network of Beat the Streets. We're also going through a merger with Beat the Streets Providence to form Beat the Streets New England, and eventually expand into other parts of central and western Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, Rhode Island. So with BYW, as far as helping sort of standardize our mentoring procedures, policy, onboarding, we're also a meal distribution site. So helping out with the students that we have, help that. We have a variety of different styles of mentoring. We're also rolling out a new program for peer-to-peer mentoring for high school students, mentoring younger high school and middle school students, checking in, seeing how things are going, talking about wrestling. We use the sport of, we're a youth development organization that uses wrestling. So our focus is on developing the youth, and we use wrestling for that. And in the day-to-day, I help out with streamlining things and making our mentoring program be organized, stronger, more diverse, and more inclusive to populations who aren't usually who you'd think of with wrestling, because the sport's growing a lot in all directions. So that's a big thing of what I help with.
It is. And thank you. Thank you so much. If you think of, something else as we move on, feel free to raise your hand or interject. I'm going to go actually in the order of people arriving, and I'm going to move to you next, Lizzie.
Hi, so my name is Elizabeth Gray, and I work at Partners for Youth Disabilities, and I work primarily with mentoring. I work with our artistic and outreach director, where we do a lot with our online theater program for students between the ages of 13 to 22, where we do a theater program on Zoom currently at the moment due to the circumstances, but we would usually be in Boston at 89 South Street and do it there. I also am helping out right now with an online mentoring program. I'm also very, very beneficial in that program, and for college students. And I forgot the last part of that question. And I'm sorry, Rosie, what was the second part of that question?
It's just, what do you know that you do at your site that basically, if you weren't there, nobody else would be able to do, that your role as a member allows the organization to build its capacity in any one of a number of ways. So you've mentioned the theater program.
Yeah, so I think that for me, for what I do, I think that I'm a big help. I think that having another young person, I think, has really become a benefit, as well as I've also been doing these programs as a participant for several years. So I have an insight of it on the other end, as well as on a faculty and staff end. So that would be what I would say in a nutshell.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So providing perspective from a participant.
From both angles.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you. I don't want to hurry anybody, but I also want to respect our time. Ruth, you came on next. If you'd say your full name, the site that you're at, and what you know that you're doing. Oh, you're muted, honey.
Sorry. So my name is Ruth Koha James, and I serve as Ambassador of Mentoring at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southeastern Massachusetts in the Mentor 2.0 program. So my service is with the program coordinator, Mentor 2.0 program coordinator. And what we usually do is go in do a weekly lessons with the students, usually students from schools in the Boston area, selective schools in the Boston area. And then we have weekly lesson with them. What it is following the students from high school, precisely from 9th grade up to the 12th grade, where you help them to be successful in high school, pair them with a mentor. So it's the mentee-mentor relationship, and also to prepare them for college. So it's college readiness as well. So all these weekly sessions I get towards helping them to understand how they can be successful, how their mentors can help them through the program, how to apply for college when they're ready to do that. So sometimes we have breakout sessions where we help the students with their essay preparation, or just direct them towards the FAFSA, what all they need to apply for college. So we help them with those things. So I think the role of the AOM in the Mentor 2.0 program is very vital, and it's very valid, because it's an extra person that can help all these students to be able to reach their goal.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, and I'm going to talk more about this on Thursday, I was in a discussion with this woman who's running a mentor program in Germany this morning, and they've been conducting a very large longitudinal study with a whole treatment and control, and comparing, how young people do and which ones do better depending on the intervention. And they are seeing from this research, which is a big, big project that has been taking a while to come to fruition, a huge benefit to having a mentor relationship, even for just 1 year. And they have data, and she'll be sharing it with me, and I'll be sharing it with all of you. But this whole mentor-mentee relationship is something that I think we all know is important and helpful, but it's nice when the science backs it up, right? So anyway, I'll be sharing that as we go along. I think our next guest, if I may say, is Abby. And you can say your whole name, dear, and then the site that you're at and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Abby McDonough, and I'm at the Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology, and I'm their peer mentoring coordinator. So I work with the student services team to increase student support, mainly by way of the peer mentoring program. So what I do specifically is I match incoming students, so students in their first or second semester typically, with students who are returning, so in their second semester or beyond, because some of our programs are only 1 year. And they'll be in the same academic major. And if there's not a peer available in their major, sometimes we will match them with an alum. So basically, they have a monthly theme that I will create, and I'll get a speaker for that. And we'll do a monthly meeting, and they have regular check-ins. I will check in with them. I also compile reports that showcase how their GPAs have hopefully improved since being in the program, their attendance to courses and things like that. And just even more broadly, I work on ways to get them involved through virtual means, especially this year, which is tougher than usual. But yeah, so I would say mainly I work with the peer mentoring program, but I also am more broadly involved in student services as well.
That monthly meeting you've been talking about and sharing a little bit with the larger group, and that's been really fascinating and interesting. Yeah. And I'm sure that's going to continue as we move forward in 2021. All right, so continuing on, we're going to save you last, Windry. We're going to go next to Kylie. And again, say your whole name and your host site, dear.
So my name is Kylie Whitworth. I am at Big Sister Association of Greater Boston. At Big Sister, I serve as the Ambassador of Mentoring, which makes me the coordinator for a program that we have called Big for a Day. So Big for a Day is an event that is provided for the girls on our wait list who are waiting to be matched in a one-to-one match in our community. It's an event where we partner with nonprofits, with businesses, with organizations in the community to provide either learning opportunities or fun activities for the girls. Currently, they are virtual, of course, but we in the past have had them in person. This is a really cool event. It's not offered by all Big Brother, Big Sister associations. So we're really pleased to be able to offer it at Big Sister. It's really important because it keeps our mentees included in our program and engaged while they're in the matching process. And it also helps us get to know the girls before we have them in our program so that we can create a more quality match for them. I think being an AOM is really advantageous for this role because we are creating new relationships with people in the community constantly. So having somebody fresh with new ideas every year is really cool. And also as an AOM, I'm able to coordinate with people in my cohort to get ideas from them for events as well. I think this role is just a really good example of how the AOM project can be really flexible to the needs of an organization because ultimately somebody might be able to do this at Big Sister, but to have somebody who is dedicated to this program, it's really important and it improves the quality. So.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I think this term building capacity is sort of abstract. It's not until you're actually at your host site and you figured out sort of what your role is that you begin to both experience and exploit the opportunities. For everybody who's still on the call after I hear Windry's response, I would love to hear anything specific that you think COVID made, I don't want to say more possible because that sounds like it's looking at it like it's a good thing, but there have been opportunities because of COVID and because of virtual platforms that I want you to speak to, if that is something that you can respond to. So Windry, you're next, and say your whole name and the host site, and then how you think what way your role is benefiting your host site.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Sagarowa. I work at Chica Project. I am the programs fellow for Chica Project, and essentially what I do is I focus on everything that has to do with programming. So recently, I've created our peer leaders program from scratch. So I think that as an AOM, having me as an AOM at the moment and those who came before me, having projects that those above me and that run the program want to see happen, but don't have the time because they're focusing on a little bit more important things is very difficult. And it's better to have that person to focus on that project. It's a huge advantage, just like my colleagues have said. I also work with a few of my coworkers, and we develop, we fix, we tweak, we reach out to our youth, we make sure our youth are still involved and know that with the whole COVID situation that we're still here and we have a ton of opportunities for them that we get from other resources. I do that along with some of my coworkers. And just like Lizzie said, I'm also somebody that gives in a lot of insight, and I've been changing certain things of the program when I was a participant that I know have worked from before that were changed along the way. Specifically, like for us with our youth, we've noticed that the one-to-one mentoring doesn't work because sometimes it's very difficult to get in touch with our youth and to have them keep texting back and forth. So we are changing this year to group mentoring, which has worked in the past for many years. Another thing that the AOM role in Chica Project adds is that Chica Project, for the little time that it does have, it's been coming a long way. It's grown very quickly. And my higher ups are working to expand Chica Project in new ways so that we benefit not only our youth, but also those who help the program grow. Myself, my colleagues, anybody else who works with Chica Project very closely. So having an AOM knowing that that AOM is going to focus on the programming and that you don't have to worry about that, that's something that is a really, really big advantage that I know is certain that I have been told. So I think that if you want your program to go a certain way, but you feel like you can't give 100% to that, I think it's important for you to have an AOM.
That's great. Yeah. Amen. Amen. Did anybody want to add anything based either on, well, what they thought since they spoke or in response to something somebody else said? Oh, Carmen, go ahead. And
So to go with sort of both of those, and also the because this is my second year, my first term started before COVID. So in the first portion of that year, we had tournaments, we had practices, we had in a lot of in-person events, and a different type of sort of way of interacting and enriching. We would also do enrichment in person in schools. And a big part of our first sort of step of enrichment is actually no contact. We don't want to have students start wrestling and rolling around and getting themselves hurt before they've been trained. So it sounds kind of strange, but we were already prepared for how to have no contact wrestling when COVID became a large change in our operations. After COVID sort of erupted, we became a food distribution site. We pivoted really quickly to help our neighborhood and also our student members to sort of change and adapt with it. For our mentors and our mentees, we've been able to focus a lot on the basics and the training aspect of it. So because we're a USA wrestling organization, there's really specific standards that we have to follow for training for coaches. So all youth coaches, so like elementary school and under, have to have a copper certification, bronze for middle school. So we've been getting our coaches to go through the training process. They also have to go through a safe sports certification to understand sort of how to coach and what situations to avoid and how to help your athletes when things aren't going well, and also to coaching methods. So we've been able to expand access to that, and also helping our student athletes with adapting to change. Wrestling as a sport is about adapting to change and unexpected circumstances. So to be able to, we've always had our practices focus on a theme like resilience or determination or teamwork, and to be able to really have those themes. We've always tied those themes to well, what's going on in your life for our mentees. And now they've noticed how much it helps, and they've noticed how much being aware of those things in your life helps move things forward. So that's been sort of an opportunity that we've gotten to present through COVID.
yeah, I mean, I think the physical way in which we know that wrestling exists, and then applying that to the figurative, right? How to stay balanced and stay connected during COVID. Does anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, I'd like to add. So this is my second year, like Carmen, and I served at Medco in Boston, similar school program, but as a volunteer outreach coordinator. So at that time, prior to COVID, I had the opportunity to visit schools and actually meet with students and speak to them. And my role there was to kind of pair alums to current students, because they've all went through the same path, like Wendy said, having been in her program and now serving in the program, she kind of know exactly what is needed. So I had that opportunity to visit, to talk with alumni, and to be able to connect them to current student in that program at the time. But now it's a virtual platform that we're on post I mean, during the time of COVID, and that's different. But the unique part about it is that mentor and mentee meet at events. So we have like monthly events where mentor and mentee meet, and you can put them in the breakout rooms and they can have that, you know, quality time that they would have had in person that they don't have. So, you know, that's just the advantages, disadvantages, but things are still working out, and you can always just, you know, take advantage and use what you have and make it as real as possible so that people can benefit from the program. So it's been quite an experience, but a good one too.
Yes, I think it is. And it's interesting, you and Carmen are talking about being second years. Carmen was a first year at Mass Mentoring. You were a first year somewhere else. And then we have Lizzie and Windry having been participants in the organizations that they're now serving at. And I'm thinking also about Kylie talking about, I mean, people ask me, so what can somebody do in less than a year? And quite a lot, honestly. You know, private nonprofit youth serving organizations are historically under-resourced and understaffed. And there's a lot of people with great ideas and good hearts who want to do things, and there just isn't the time. And so when you come in, all of you here today and the Corps as a whole, you really extend, you really amplify the resources and the support that these organizations want to provide. And I know you each have your own main activities. And then I was thinking with you, Abby, just about the monthly meeting and the ways in which you're also given a lot of freedom. And I think each one of you, because you're all dedicated, responsible people, you get given tasks that somebody says, well, this is what we think we want to do. We're not really sure. And then you take the ball and you run with it. And I think if you're adequately supported, then you can do even more than you realized might be possible. So much gratitude. And we are in the beginning here of a new year, and COVID is still with us, but we have a better understanding of both the constraints and also the opportunities. So does anybody have any last words? And if not, then I'll thank you again for coming, and I'll see you all on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. Take
Bye.
care. Be well. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.